Welcome to another enlightening episode of the Build Insite Podcast. This time, we're diving deep into the intersections of business operations, well-being, and productivity, extracting valuable insights from the Build Insite team. Tune in as the BI team navigate us through the holistic approach for optimizing every facet of a business, drawing from their wealth and earned wisdom and hands-on experience. This is the go-to episode for construction business owners striving for operational efficiency while creating a nurturing environment for productivity and growth. Welcome to episode 3 of the Build Insite Podcast. We felt that we barely scratched the surface on some of our topics of discussion in the previous episodes. So today we're going to dive a little bit more into the business side of things and the well-being aspect. So to start off with, I don't know who wants to take the lead here, but it'd be great maybe if you wanted to share some of the innovative strategies that you've implemented into your businesses, maybe things that have helped boost efficiency or productivity. I'm going to actually pass it to my left, to David, to take it away.
Well, sounds like I'm the first one off here, boys. So, it's a challenging one because you know, for my background, that's the thing, you know, being a carpenter on site to then go step into, you know, being a builder, and that's the thing. And as I touched on last episode, you think you know quite a fair bit, but then you actually deep dive down into it and go through the process, you know very little on that. So, one of the biggest things has been being involved in the pre-construction process, which we chatted a fair bit about last episode. But for me, it's sort of been the technology I've implemented in the business. You know, so we use, you know, different programs. Like I'm a big fan of the Google suite as far as, you know, Google Drive. So all the plans, quotes, any sort of documentation that's attached to the job, we have a sort of a dedicated folder for. I find that works really good. So all my employees can access that. They can access it anywhere. I can access it anywhere. It's not like a piece of paper that you only have on the job site. And then when you're in the office, you don't have that access to that piece of paper. So it's something that can be, you know, universally used anywhere across the world. And yeah, with that sort of technology, also like Slack. So, you know, when I was, you know, first, you know, started business, I was getting text messages off the husband and wife for the job, and then, you know, so you're getting emails of the husband and wife, you know, you're getting phone calls, that sort of thing. So now all communication is just drawn through Slack. It's the one platform. It's got good search technology that, you know, you can have a keyword that you put in the search, and then you can find, you know, the sort of cladding that you spoke about and that sort of thing. So I think from my perspective, you know, that's definitely something that I found been really good for me as a business and that sort of thing. Innovative, then I believe. So yeah.
And how are you approaching this on site? So how are your team having access to this?
Yep. So as soon as I hire a new employee, we, you know, generally spend about half a day going through with them, and we upload all the apps onto their phone. That way they just have access to it as a phone, just generally for my main carpenters. Darcy, my site manager, he has a tablet and also a laptop that he can access things on site too. So, yeah.
And they're providing on-site updates to clients at the same time?
Yep, for sure. Yeah. So, yeah, and then with updating clients, generally we try to communicate once a week with our clients, whether that be verbally on site with a site meeting, or whether it's us sending through photos on Slack and just describing to them what we've done for the week and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
So use of technology is pretty important then in your
definitely.
operations.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yep.
Luke, do you want to share maybe some of the things that you implement in your own business?
Yeah, I guess it's just backing up everything that Dave said. It's kind of, I look back and joke about this with a few guys actually at the moment. If I was building 20 years ago, geez, I don't know how those guys actually did it. Like the massive paper trail that they must have had would just be, it'd be insane. Just the, you know, loose sets of plans and documents that are flying around the backseat of the ute or whatever. So
could you imagine being on site all day and then going home and sending off your phone, doing all your phone calls or faxes and that sort of thing? It'd be a different world, wouldn't it?
It
Even
would be
before
a totally
the phone,
different world.
driving around.
To
book inspections in.
Yeah. Sorry, Lukey.
No, you're right, mate. All good. So, but I suppose we use a couple of similar platforms, well, similar and common platforms that Dave mentioned as well. Like Slack's good for, I guess, project communication between the office and the team, just uploading like progress photos. it's more, I don't spend a lot of time on site anymore. So being able to actually see from the photos that the guys are uploading every day, just some progress on what's actually been happening. We actually use a few of those as well, rather than me wasting time calling past site, take a few photos to be able to upload onto social media, get them to have some pretty detailed photos so that we can use those as a bit of marketing stuff as well. Developed like a pretty detailed Google Drive folder, which is our project related stuff. Early days, again, just used to be a giant paper folder that you'd have all your plans and your invoices, variations, that sort of thing. So actually having a digital platform to have everything stored, I reckon, is probably one of the most valuable things. We're just working on some cool stuff at the moment to be able to actually have direct QR code links from site to relevant information, like stuff like the most recent plans, all the specifications for each item that needs to be everywhere, like have a site link from a QR code so that anyone that comes on site has always got the most relevant information, so they're not building off the wrong set of plans or wrong docs. So, I mean, I'm going to handball this over to someone else now, because I could go on for ages about some of the stuff that we've got going on at the moment. So,
well, it's a good opportunity to make an introduction too. It's great to have Darren from Backman Builders joining us for his first episode as well. Yeah. So good opportunity to maybe ask Team Backman what it is that, you implement into your own businesses.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I missed last time, as you all know, with a case of the kidney stone. So it's good to be here and chewing the fat. Big Dave. I think probably a few years ago, probably to maybe 5 years ago, I used to say to Dean, like, why do you have two phones? And then once sort of I got off the tools and started having a lot more dialogue with clients and whatnot, I started getting a lot of phone calls on Saturday mornings and that, and I sort of thought, I might just get another phone, because then it's sort of going back to, your personal, that sort of stuff. Not to be rude or anything, but it's just like, just so we've got our own, when my work hours finish, I know owning your own business, doesn't stop, but just so I could have that set hours, have the Slack hours using all the same programs that most of the guys on here are using, but just so I could switch off and then go and have my work phone for purely just for work, and then my personal purely just for personal, just so I could sort of separate it. Because like Dave was saying before, you're getting text messages and all that sort of stuff, and it's just so hard to sort of keep it all, when you got so much going on in personal and business. Just so I could go, I've got one phone for this and I've got another phone for that. But yeah, other than, I found that's an absolute game changer. But yeah, we generally use a lot of the same stuff that Luke and Dave have sort of touched on, and we're sort of, always looking to improve and, use other programs and systems and that, just to make everything easy. Because I don't think it is, there is just one thing that's really good to work with. But my old man does tell me all the time that he used to have to go to the payphones to book in inspections and all that sort of stuff. And I said, that sounds pretty good, Dad, because the amount of phone calls we get, I wouldn't mind just going to a payphone.
What about when it comes to construction cost estimating? Are you using software? Because I imagine this is probably the same scenario, right? Like, how long would it take you to do it by hand now if you had to have a ruler and a pen and do your takeoffs?
Well, me and Dean used to do it together on paper, and Dean would measure it and I'd write it all down, and then we'd calculate how many studs we need and how many plates we need. And then now we've got, we've been using Build Insite now, for maybe, I don't know, Dean, how many years we've been using it for? Maybe 5 years or so. And
yeah, easy.
And I generally do most of it myself, and Dean, will sort of categorize it. I generally like to do the fun stuff, and I just normally let Dean work out the brick quantities and the tile quantities. And yeah, but opposed to doing it by hand, like, mate, if I sat in the office all day, depending on how big it is, I mean, if it's a job that's a couple $1 million, like, it's going to take me a lot longer than a day with the detail and all that. But yeah, mate, I don't know, I couldn't tell you how long it'd save, but it's a long time of labour and, paper and pen, getting it all ready to send off.
Days, mate. It would save you days at a minimum, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually like passing off the takeoffs to Darren. When we first signed up to Build Insite years ago, the guy did a training day, and the guy said, "Do you guys like playing video games?" I was like, "No, I've never been a video game player." Darren was, and I said, "Hey, Daz, this is right down your alley." So I've no matter how hard I try, he's just kind of got a real good knack for the takeoffs, we both get it. We both know what we're doing, but Darren's very efficient with
Yeah.
takeoffs, and I just get frustrated with the tools. And
I have a feeling that one of the first jobs I did a quote on was we're doing the takeoff for the mesh that went on top of the concrete slab.
Yeah.
So we had the A3 piece of paper printed out with the floor plan, and then we thought we'd cut a piece of paper to the dimensions 1 to 100 as the size of the mesh, so 2.4 via 6 meters. And then we actually sort of traced around it and worked out how many sheets. Like, talk about being inefficient. It's bloody terrible, isn't it?
you didn't go plus like your 10 or 20%.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway, that's it. That's how I did the first one. But since it's progressed a bit. But
I'm sure every single person out there listening who's been in industry for the last 10 to 40 years is probably they've found their own ways to do something. Like, you've got to find a solution no matter what, right? So whatever works. It's I think it was something you touched on too there, Daz, that I kind of want to circle into. And I think that's, in the pursuit of all of this and what we're doing and growing our businesses and the productivity and the things that we implement to do so, do you think that Wellbeing can take a backseat in these times?
Look, 100%, mate. Look, I've always been, like, me and Dean sort of started off when we were, I don't know, I look back now and think maybe we were kids, but I've always been one to just always go to the gym since I was about 18, 19. And we used to, do our 7 till 3:34. And I did do OT back then, but and me and Dean used to butt heads at times. And people go, gyms, all you think about is a gym, it's just, gym's more important to you than work. And it wasn't that. I think it's taken quite a while. And Dean did say to me a while ago, like, I could sort of see why it wasn't more just to go there, it was to go there and get big biceps and that, but but it was probably more to go there because it was just like I open says I'm someone who suffered from anxiety my entire life. So, and I've always looked at that as a place to get and really look after my mental health, and I still to this day, like, it's not about gyms more important, but like I look after my mental well-being more than I would say like prioritizing work, if that, it does sound a little bit selfish, but yeah, I think it's only sort of just been, the surface has just been scratched, maybe in the last couple of years of really looking after your mental health. But yeah, I've always been massive on, looking after my mental health in that sort of aspect over work. But yeah, I sort of see a lot of guys who start off their business and you just sort of see the hours they're working, and then that's awesome. And it's nothing better than seeing guys go out and try and make their own way. But the working, 10, 12 hours a day is only a matter of time before you absolutely burn yourself out. But yeah, without repeating myself, but yeah, that's looking after myself has always come probably first before work.
No, I think that's important to have that priority. I'm not going to say selfishness, but priority. And it's because, in my opinion, at least, that if you haven't got your head correct, then you really are going to see things suffer in one way or another, whether that's, with your loved ones or your family or other aspects of your life. So having your headspace, in a positive place is critical. Like it is. That's where you'll see all kinds of growth in life and in business.
100%.
And it's probably one of the hardest things to navigate for most people. Why is it that we all suffer so hard when it comes to our headspace more than anything else in business? Why is that the trickiest part for most people? And startup, I'm picking on startups because that typically is where you're set, because that's where they're learning it all, unfortunately. And some people are able to cope with this through different mechanisms better than others. And yeah, it's something I might even just pass off to you now, Luke. Is this something, what are you implementing in? I know you've got your own mechanisms that you use.
Yeah, I guess a lot of it comes back to how you run your business as well, I think, like scheduling time to be able to actually do what you want to do. Like, it's not all about work. And again, I guess that comes back to the startups where everybody thinks that they're just going to keep working harder and harder, and if I do the long days, it's eventually going to pay off. But if you're not scheduling time for yourself, if you're not right, nothing else around you can be. So I guess trying to make sure that you're fitting in time to at least fit in a bit of exercise, or, spend some time with family, or catch up with your mates, do what you enjoy, outside of work. Because I can tell you right now, work ain't everything. I kind of want to touch as well on how you're looking after your employees. Like, we're pretty big on like team culture about checking in on the rest of the team as well and making sure that they're doing okay. Because, it's some of the projects that you go through, like it can have a bit of a build up. Some days you're absolutely flat out. Other weeks you're a little bit quiet. So just having a regular check-in and open communication, I suppose, among the whole team. We've developed recently like a staff questionnaire that we sit down and get them to fill out. Just trying to find out, I suppose, what their personal goals are as well as business-related goals to see if we can assist them into achieving what they want to do in life and business as well. Just to, we kind of find that allows a bit more of a personal touch and lets them open up a bit more on, if they're struggling a little bit, if they need to just have a day to themselves or finish a little bit early or whatever. Just, I guess as an overall wellbeing structure, trying to make sure that you're looking after yourself as well as the rest of the team.
Yeah, well, that's important too, right? Like without your team, do you have a business? So, you've got to be a leader in that as well, and support them. So how do you normally go about that, Luke? Is it when you've got a questionnaire, do you sort of schedule it quarterly or monthly? Like, how do you approach it?
Yeah, we try and I've scheduled it recently to try and do it at least every quarter. There's a couple of questions that are a little bit repetitive, but I guess I'd rather than be repetitive than not ask them at all, because you kind of, if you're not doing it on a semi-regular basis, you kind of you're going to miss out altogether anyway. So definitely every quarter. I think any more than that, I think then that might just be pushing the boundaries a little bit. I think that'll sort of, it might be a bit of pushback from everyone. So, but yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted in a future episode and let you know how every quarter's going.
Sounds good. David, what do you implement into yours business?
Yeah, so I love that Lukey sends a questionnaire to his employees every quarter. We do something similar. We have a quarter catch up. We just go for a coffee just individually with my staff. I actually got that off you, Anthony. That works really well. But me personally, I'm similar to Daz. I love a workout. For me, my workouts are very basic. It's like 15 minutes. It's 2 exercises, and I do 2 different sets of workouts. And it's just, the mental health, like the endorphins that a workout releases into your body is phenomenal, and you just feel upbeat and, energetic for the rest of the day. But for me too, it's for physical, obviously well-being and that. But so a bit of a backstory about, I don't know how long ago, about 10 years or something like that, I actually had a prolapse disc in my back, where I was on light duties for work as a carpenter, and was starting to question whether carpentry is going to be the future for me and that. But then through Chinese medicine, believe it or not, I actually found this Chinese doctor that just got me to hang off a monkey bar, stretch my torso, and the negative gravity actually, stretches your back and it's really good for it, creates blood flow and that. But yeah, and part of that was strength training. That's, and I actually find the days I do a workout when I'm on site, I have so much more energy. My back is so free. Like with my workouts, I'm not pushing myself to extremes. It's just lubricating the joints, putting a bit of pressure on the muscle, and just for me, it's longevity, mentally and physically, and that for it. And just a short little workout. Try to do it 5-6 times a week and that sort of thing. But most times probably 4 times a week with life getting in the way and that. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's what do you do when things do get in the way? When your routine that you've scheduled in for the week or the day gets interrupted. Like, how do you approach that?
Yeah, it's a challenging one, because I'd love to say if I don't do it in the morning, I do it as soon as I get home from work. But then I feel bad as a father to walk through the door, say hello to the kids, and then back out to the shed to do my gym workout. So for me, most of the time, if I don't do it in the morning, that's it for the day. But in saying that, like my wife, pretty good. We both focus on our physical health and mental health and that. So it's like, well, she might say, all right, I didn't do a workout this morning. She might say, all right, go do one now. I've got the kids, and vice versa and that. So we sort of tag team together a bit after hours and that to make sure that we can get that exercise in. But doesn't always happen, as you could imagine. Yeah.
No, and I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up too much. It's, if you miss that day or a couple of days, or maybe it's starting to find itself into a routine where you're not actually getting to what you wanted to do.
Yep.
That's a great opportunity to actually reflect and go, well, hang on, why is this the case?
Yeah. And, actually, another really good thing I only started doing it the past, probably 2 months, is every time I brush my teeth. Now, bear with me, boys. This is going to sound a bit funny. So every time I brush my teeth, I lay down on my back with my legs up against the wall. So to stretch my hamstrings. But so 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes at night. actually amazing how much better my back feels too, just stretching my hamstrings. So,
As in, you're laying on your back while you're brushing your teeth?
yes, correct.
It's not choking on
All right.
toothpaste.
Let's
I
get
think it's time to move on to something else.
okay. I think it's also important to just show that we're all trying to be vulnerable here too.
Yeah.
Because, I'm sure there's people out there listening going, is that all he does? Wait to hear my story. Dean, what are you implementing to your personal life to combat these things?
Yeah, well, I think touching on what Darren said before, we started in business together when Dazza was 21 and I was 23. I think we were both living together still. Oh no, actually I'd moved out, but we were living in the same suburb. So we'd finish on site. We'd both go to the old Windy Hill gym together and push some weights around, and that sort of stopped when we sort of moved in separate suburbs. I had my first daughter when I was like the week before I was 26. And I've always said, I've openly said this on multiple times, like I've always looked up to my little brother Daz for maintaining. I want to say little is, I am trying to still catch up on the biceps with Dazza, but I definitely let my well-being slip, and the mentality was, I don't have time. I'm a dad. I've got work to do. Almost felt like it was definitely a laziness, but it was also a matter of, I felt maybe I was going to feel guilty that I'm not getting the most out of work, or I'm going to let clients down or let workers down, or we've got to hit a target to get another job contracted. There's always an excuse. And it was actually, probably a few years ago now, but Darren actually pulled me aside and basically ripped me and said, "You got to get your shit together here." And he was right. Yeah, mate. I had to put on a few kilos. You lose the muscle tone. I had started stepping away from the tools, so you're not active like you are as a chippy and working your body out. It's easy enough to go slip out and get a pie from the bakery, and it's funny enough I did this morning because we were podcast all day. But
it's okay.
But for me now, my routine, it starts with setting up the schedule every week. I do it mostly on a Sunday, and my gym times go in there sporadically because it might work out that I've got a morning between meetings or my afternoon's free, so I'm going to go in there before my kids finish school. And like you mentioned, Dave, like once the school day's over, I don't really want to have to step away in the evening and then not be there to be present for my wife or my kids. So for myself, I've actually committed this year to 300 workouts in the year, and I'm not far off the 100 mark. So I'm actually feeling at nearly 37, feeling better than I've ever felt physically and mentally in my life. Like I feel like it definitely as well, like you're saying, Dave, when you've had a workout, and we've mentioned on earlier episodes, like in the ice baths and stuff like that, my mental strength is a lot better. But if I have a break from gym just to have a couple of rest days or something, it's then when I actually start feeling sore. I find it easier to maintain. I've definitely have looked up to Daz in that regard, and I feel like I've definitely learned the hard way, and I won't go back there again. Like for me, if work can take a back seat, because I know as soon as I slip, work's going to suffer anyway.
And you'll have Daz on your case too.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. 'Cause, like I said, he has got bigger biceps.
I can imagine the banter between you two when you were quoting projects, by the way.
Well, I think we've been on it before, but like we've got a really close relationship, and we've both got a lot of the same hobbies. And growing up through our 20s, we're in our 30s now, but we had a lot of the same friendship groups and everything. So we'd be able to tell each other to get stuffed if we were having a blue on site. And then 5 minutes later, we'd packing up and going to the gym together and talking about footy and our same hobbies. So, we're very lucky that we've got a great family network, but we're also very lucky that we're best mates, and we've been on an amazing journey for the last 13 years together with Backman Builders. And we honestly feel like we're just getting started.
What about you, mate? What about you, Jenks? What do you do with well-being physically and mentally in that? What's your sort of go-to?
I kind of touched on this in our last chat, but for me, it's trying to cover all bases, really. Like I look at it from a holistic approach. So that includes everything from just making sure that what I'm eating, and I do like to use different types of supplements and things, across the board there. I try to meditate. I use an app called Balance, which I think is great. That's just guided meditation, and I've been doing that for some years now. And boy, yeah, I honestly do think that has been one of the most significant things that's allowed me to have a positive state of mind at times. I do exercise. I like to go for runs. I have tried the gym thing out a few times, but I'm pretty, I actually don't have a lot of confidence in the gym. It's actually quite intimidating for me to try and walk through those doors and go into a gym and do a workout by myself. And the occasions I have gone, I've always gone with someone else, and they've, kind of just guided me and trained me through it, which has been good because it's nice to actually have a chat in the mornings and have that connection with people as well, first up, rather than just, the only connection you've got is the family getting ready and then you're out the door into work. So there's scheduling's big. So
what are you in the morning type of workout and meditation?
Yeah, I am. I for me, it's I know that if I'm kind of kidding myself if I try and get home and go, I'll catch up on that one I missed this afternoon, because as soon as I go through the door, it's family time. Focus on that. And that's one of the hardest ones because, sometimes you get home and you're still in business mindset and work mindset, and you're just like, I'll just check that email. And then all of a sudden, if it's a negative, if there's something in those email strings, they could just completely switch you into a different direction when, again, you should be focusing on your family time and trying to keep those distractions at bay. So I don't have social media on my phone. I have no emails on my phone, nothing. It's just isolated. Let's cue the disclaimer. It's Anthony here from Build Insite, and I need to let you know that myself and the Build Insite team are in no way, shape or form qualified to give you personal or specific business advice. We strongly encourage you seek out the use of professionals for products or when you are making personal or business decisions. Everything discussed during the Build Insite podcast is our own and the guest opinion and personal experience, and is of a general nature only.